Welcome to Fat Cat Productions of News with a View. This is June 2nd, 2025, and this is episode 74. To any of our new viewers, my name is John A. Costa. I am the host, writer, water boy, everything else that comes with doing a video podcast. My expertise is in nothing. My field has been television broadcasting. So I know a little about that. The reason for the podcast was to bring news from both sides of the political spectrum in the news media. And why is that important? Is because our news is like a food dish. We know what we like, and we get very familiar to what we like and how we like it. The media has always, since print, has known that, the only way you sell is to have more eyeballs looking at your product. And the news is a product. So you could have, I'll just use that as an example, Fox News puts the facts out there. And if you go, and I know I have, and I've gone to the extreme left, MSNBC, and they have the exact same facts. No different. Nothing really changed except maybe the order of facts. But basically, it's the same facts. But it's the words after that that shape how and who it's being addressed to. So those things are important, at least to me. I'm a federalist. If you don't know what a federalist is, that is a person that absolutely stands behind our Constitution. And then if you stand behind the Constitution, then you stand behind our laws. And if you stand behind our laws, then you stand behind state rights. And it's really extremely common sense. And I take a look from both sides of a view. So I'm a believer that a good idea is always a good idea no matter where it had come from. But some good ideas, are not practical good ideas. For example, no one should have to pay taxes. Yeah, it's a great idea. No. How's that going to work? So just because you have an idea doesn't necessarily make it executable. It might be nice, but it's just not going to happen. So I look into those, types of situations, and then I can get my biases in there. I try not to, but sometimes it does come out because it's just so plain and so evident that it must be said. I will call out both sides. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And I have called out, I do not agree with everything President Trump did. I did not object to everything President Biden did. So I'm not locked in step. And like I said, good ideas are good ideas. So I take that into account. Today's episode will take into some changes coming to the State Department that have been announced over the days, but really hasn't gotten the news that it really should be getting. My other one is George Stephanopoulos, just going on a tear on President Trump this week. Pretty amazing that the guy is going that way. And in that is Bitcoin. And when I say Bitcoin, it's really, I'm sorry, it's not Bitcoin. It's cryptocurrency. And President Trump is, right before he got elected, was starting and has started a crypto company. And then a little thing about the DMV scam that's going on, and everyone's getting text messages about it. And I just thought it would be more of a PSA, public service announcement, to discuss some of that. And I'll be going off topic, as I always do, and when I get into a rant. And now let me get to my favorite camera. There we go. Again, this is News with a View, a Fat Cat production. We could be found youtube.com// the @ symbol, John Fat Cat. Cat spelt with a K. And later on in the when I edit this, that will probably be right over here. So, all right. To get into what we were getting into today. State Department could have an Office of Remigration. Now, what is remigration? Well, in all honesty, it sounds better than the Department of Deportation. So what Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said in a notification to Congress is a plan to make the State Department more agile, and robust, with using technology today and less people tomorrow. And that seems to be the overall theme of everything that they're trying to do. I'm just trying to get myself a little bit better position here. Again, not whiskey as I wish it was, but sweet tea. What Rubio is saying is they want to streamline the State Department, but in that streamlining, they want to start a couple of offices, and those offices weren't mentioned by name by Rubio, but they are in formal requests to Congress. So The proposed office would be one of 3 new functional offices formed by the existing Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration. And this was reported by CNN. So this is a CNN story. So everything in here is being leaned as CNN would want it to be leaned. But it is factual. So no problems with facts. So these 3 offices are all consolidated under the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Migration Matters. The 3 new offices are to be actively facilitated the voluntary return of migrants to their country of origin or legal status. So what this department would do, I don't know, would, herd the people that are being deported. You go here, you go there, you go there. Now, I'm not quite sure why you need an office to do that, though we are talking potentially, millions of people here. And I know the left will say this is the same thing Germany did. And, in putting people in concentration camps or moving them out or assigning them. And I get to pick and choose. And you could make or try to make that comparison, but it's not true. It's not true. You have people that are in our country that should not be in our country. In Germany, they did that against their own citizenship. And then when they conquered territory, those countries became under the jurisdiction of Nazi Germany, and as such, our laws now are their laws. There's nothing like that going on here. There have been no new laws. Anything Donald Trump has been doing, there is not any new constitutional realignment. The Constitution has not changed. And remember I said in the beginning, the Constitution, the laws, but nothing has changed. Nothing changed under Joe Biden. Didn't change the Constitution. So you're going to hear people make these complaints about this. And you have to take into the fact that President Trump's campaigned in the final weeks of 2024, the presidential campaign. President Trump, or candidate Trump at that time, used the term remigration. As president, I will immediately end the migrant invasion of America. We will stop all migrant flights, end all illegal entries, terminate the Kamala phone app for smuggling illegals. That was the CBP One app, I think that's. Revoke deportation immunity, suspend refugee resettlement, and return Kamala's illegal migrants to their home countries, also known as remigration. So you'll be hearing a lot, and we should be hearing a lot, None of this stuff should be done at 2 in the morning. The American people, be them Republican, be them Democrat, independent, non-aligned to anyone, should know what's going on with these type of programs that are being set up. Again, I question some of it. I understand the necessity of some of it. We certainly had a border situation that was just, the president didn't want to deal with it. Could have, should have. And now you're even having Democrats saying, well, that was a big mistake. He could have done that and he should have done that. Well, where were these people at that time? Where were the people to go, Mr. President? Don't you think 40,000 people a week coming across our border, are you not concerned? Because I know a lot of our viewers are concerned. Are you aware of that? No one did that except a handful of journalists. And in that handful of journalists were maybe 3 or 4 news outlets that were absolutely dead on. We're not doing this because we're Republican. We're not doing this for the eyeballs. We're not doing this. We're doing this because it truly is a problem. And it is causing a quality of life issue for a lot of people. You've heard crazy comparisons where they talk about, illegals committing crimes, and people go, well, there's crimes committed by people every day in America. And yes, that is a true statement. But the crimes being done by illegals are crimes that should never have been here. They should not have been here to commit those crimes. So that is where I said you must use common sense. Approach with common sense. Not, well, what about that? Whataboutism, as I call it. And when we were kids, our parents would go, well, if Jimmy jumped off a bridge, would you do that too? And then you'd get, as many as 5 across the eyes, being stupid. This situation is really a situation that President Trump has said he was going to do, and he had a plan. Now that plan is being executed. But we should be hearing more about remigration, because deportation, it's just not a word people liked hearing. So we'll just make up a new word, and we learned well from the Democrats who reinvented words, made words up. So, dreamers, right? The hell was that? But they did show us what works. Okay, my next thing is George Stephanopoulos. Remember him? He was Bill Clinton's press secretary. A very competent, very smart guy. Did his job well. Lots of skeletons in his closet, but who don't have them, So he was, he said he's unfazed by the $16 million ABC settlement But he accuses Trump of corruption, and the scale is staggering. So, on This Week with George Stephanopoulos, Sunday, he opened with scathing accusation of corruption by Donald Trump and his family. Just 6 months after ABC agreed to a $16 million payment to settle a defamation lawsuit brought by President for the anchor's comments about the E. Jean Carroll verdict. And if you're not aware why ABC was sued, ABC called Donald Trump in an interview a convicted rapist. He was never convicted of that. He was never found guilty, a criminal. Everything was civil, and in that you can't have that. You could be sexual abuse or sexual misconduct. They got sued, and they just decided we're going to settle this real quick. $16 million. And they settled it. But what now Stephanopoulos is saying is that if you connect his pardons and his fundraisers, you'll find connections to people where he was, influenced by these people. Well, let me tell you, George, when Kamala Harris took in $2 billion in 4 weeks? And people started asking, hey, where's she getting all this money from? How is this happening? On top of all the money Joe Biden had already collected into the coffers of the DNC. No one questioned that. Well, those are just people giving dimes and quarters. So I don't put much faith when they make these type of accusations. Not when most people, and when I say most, all that go into politics in the federal level walk in there upper middle class and then walk out wealthy. So when you walk in wealthy, like a Trump, you're going to be even more wealthy. Mostly when he had working businesses and family businesses that were then, of course, by law and now out of his control. But Stephanopoulos is saying, that Donald Trump and his family are making hundreds of millions, potentially billions of dollars, as Trump administration are taking official actions that benefit contributors and investors. Well, yeah, that's... You think the president goes in there and goes, hey, I appreciate everything you did for me. Now I'm going to screw you. This is so ridiculous that he has no place else to go. No place else to go. Because he's not reporting on how bad Biden's medical condition was then hidden, and America, and including himself, lied to us. Where was George when Trump was stumbling on stage? Or they'd only show a 15-second snippet of Biden at a speech, but not before or after, where he's all over the world and saying stuff, and they wouldn't even report that. And when Fox News, let's say, would report it, or Breitbart, or any of the other right-wing news outlets, and they'd go, "See, no, that's fake, that's lie." You're liars. And now you're finding out that that wasn't a lie. That the people were actually hiding this from America. And the news people are trying to cower behind and saying, well, we were lied to too. No, you didn't. You weren't lied to. The people that defended Biden's mental health, and his mental health was not his fault. His mental health decline was because he was old. And Joe Biden in his day was a sharp guy. He might not have been the sharpest tool in the shed, but he knew how to play both sides of the aisle. 50 years, man. Give me a break, man. But everyone saw the decline, and the decline was happening before he took the presidency. That's why he didn't run, and Hillary Clinton ran. I'm going to tell you right now, if Biden had run against Trump in 2016, in the 2016 election, Biden would have won. But he had gone through such a loss of his son and such a family crisis with Hunter and everything going around him, he wisely chose, I can't do it. I won't be able to serve correctly. And that was a pivotal moment. That was the Joe Biden that people liked. And said, damn, all right. Doesn't want to do it. I understand. He's doing the right thing. It's family first. Hats off, Joe. And Trump won. Then they, boom, 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 they got Joe out there and they, told Joe, just be one term. And then Joe started liking it and wouldn't leave. Who wouldn't? I don't blame Biden for that. Hey, it's good to be the king, right? Mel Brooks, History of the World. Yeah, it's good to be the king. So, Stephanopoulos is saying that the fundraisers and the people that he has pardoned now, they've already raised $2.5 billion that have not been disclosed, or And do you think that with all this nonsense, at a 16%, the approval rating for the Democrats handling for major issues, 16% approval rating, you ain't getting donations. You are not getting donations. Come 2026, I don't know what you guys are going to do as far as a war chest. You have Bernie Sanders and AOC, running in every true blue state, taking dollars from students and, whatever. And they're using that, putting that into their funds that they'll eventually, Bernie won't because he's an independent. And AOC will give that money as long as they let her use it in New York to run against Schumer. Take Schumer out. Which, AOC, it's nice to have dreams. So that's what's, well, that's what's going on with his angst. But it really has to do with crypto. That right before Trump became president, remember, he started a crypto company. And that was before he became president. Now, this crypto company that he was not part of, but then it is now being used by his crypto company for distribution of crypto and handling it. What is it, Beyonce or something like that? Binance, I'm sorry, Beyonce. Binance is the name of the company. They were being sued, not sued. They were being sued by the the Security and Exchange Commission for fraudulent activities, as they put it. And this week, the Security and Exchange dropped that suit with the courts, and they dropped it with prejudice, meaning that they cannot go back there. And it isn't one of these things where, we're going to regroup over here and then we're going to refile charges. No, can't do it. It's done. And they're screaming about that. That's unheard of. No, it's not unheard of. It's unusual, but certainly not unheard of. And the problem with crypto, and the problem that Stephanopoulos is having, was that this has never been done in our history. We never had crypto. Our government never embraced it to the point that we're embracing it in the last 4 or 5 years. So the laws were always loosey-goosey on this. For a while, you didn't even have to report it. You made $50 million, you cashed it in, you took $50 million, and you didn't have to report it. So, I still don't understand the crypto. I can understand why certain entities would want to use crypto because it goes under the radar. But now the government and governments are stepping in and going, no, you can't do that. Even China said, you can't do this. It's just money we can't control. We don't know who has it, what it's being used for, where it's being stored. I mean, it's, crypto is crazy. So what happened is that this Binance, of course run by a person named Zoe, the SEC dropped all these or dropped this particular suit. And part of the reason was because the laws that they were trying to say were broken, they didn't fit. They didn't have policy on it, or if the policy was there, it was so poorly written that they knew that more than likely they'd have a problem. And there were other bit players who, were putting pressure on the government. Because if they went after Binance, they knew that they were going to be next. On May 20th, the SEC sued Unicoin, accusing the startup and executives of fraudulently raising more than $100 million to launch tokens they claim that the Unicorn claimed were safe and backed by real estate and equity in companies that had yet to go public. So, the government also has stated flat out that if you invest in these things and these things, crypto companies go belly up, if they ain't FDIC insured, do not expect the bailout. You're going at this at your full risk. And if the company turns out to be scammers and you're on your own. The SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, is not going to step forward. Even though they might regulate them, they'll arrest them. They ain't getting your money back. Or if they can get your money back, they'll get your money back. But if they can't, we ain't making you whole. You're not getting anything from us. So now Trump promised during his 2024 White House run to be the crypto president and pledged to reverse an industry crackdown overseen by Atkins' predecessor, Gary Gensler. The SEC has since withdrawn or put on hold many cryptocurrency enforcement cases. And I said that before, that a lot of these, it just stopped. And a lot of it was because the laws were written so poorly for them that it didn't properly address crypto. Because to me, crypto is like, us arguing on how many angels can dance on the tip of a pen or pencil. I say 500, you tell me 5 million. The other one tells me no, there are no angels. So, how do you do it? There is no tangibility to crypto. There's no brick and mortar. To me, it was just, and it's still, and I take my disagreement with the president on this. And I realize crypto is here because it's been allowed, to evolve into something. But to me, it's just a means to move money unregulated, unseen, unclassified. So it's fairy dust. Cryptocurrency is fairy dust. I don't believe in it. And I don't think I ever will. My son, who had made predictions and things, and as we say, crazy, or as our youth are. As a very young man, he begged me to take $10,000, Dad, and buy crypto. Now that's when Bitcoin was like 18 cents. And I told him, I said, explain to me what crypto is. Now, I'm an engineer. I'm a smart guy. You know, I got me an education. And he explained it to me. I said, I don't. It was like, the Charlie Brown cartoons. What does that all mean? I'm not going to do that. I'd be better off to take that $10,000 to Atlantic City, put it on red. At least I have a 48% chance. So I just didn't. I just didn't believe in it. And of course now, I probably would have sold it like, at $2. And go, wow, I made $250,000. And then, after selling it, 10 years down the road, throw myself off the Brooklyn Bridge. But, I didn't. And I just couldn't see myself doing it. It just didn't make sense. The other thing my son had always warned about was AI. What are people going to do? How are people going to work? Who's going to run it? Who's going to say what's on, and back then you didn't have Google. What did you have that search? You had some couple of search engines out there. But who verifies that? Who Wikipedia? Who says that that's right? We had books that we could go to, and of course books are always, mostly history books are always written by the victor. So, we were good to the Indians, so, didn't we have a nice little cookout with them that we were all thankful about? And that's where I said if the Indians would have had an immigration policy, they might not be in the situation they find themselves today. And when they didn't have an immigration policy, there were so many of us over here by that point, they couldn't fight us any longer. Sound familiar? Understand what's going on? Understand why people are so worried and upset about uncheckable, undocumented immigration? You should be. If there's anything rattling around up there, it should be. All right, quick about what's going on in Colorado. Of course, they captured the assailant. And we're all pretty certain that setting Jewish people on fire and screaming "Free Palestine" does make it a politically motivated crime, which then comes under the heading of hate and under the heading of terrorism. So I think we're all there now. It took a while. CNN is still out there. MSNBC is still out there. The motives of this person really haven't been established. I think they're pretty established, folks. I don't think you have to look too hard. We don't have to get Columbo in on this case. So that's going on. And as these things fade away. The main thing that will come up with this individual is that he was here illegally from Egypt, you know, and this is a crime that if we had an immigration policy that, you know, he might not have been here to throw that flamethrower and stuff that he made. And I mean, the makeshift flamethrower, I think, was that he poked a hole in the bottle and squirted it and lit it and was squirting it. So when they got makeshift flamethrower, the flame did fly and get thrown over there, so you can get there. And this will be exploited by everyone. This will be exploited by the left, will be exploited by the right. And, you know, it's just the way it goes. Instead of just saying, hey, yes, burning people for any reason, they go, well, what about what's happening in the Gaza? Well, we're not doing that. We're allowing it, or we're helping supply our friends who are doing it. And, you know, we do a lot of things, you know. But, you know, you can go back and say October 7th. I mean, if you really want to go back, you can go back to 1947? Yeah, I mean, you can just go back. You just keep going back. You could find any piece of history to plant your flag on and call it your cause. And then you got to start using common sense and history and the whys and the hows. But you don't. People don't, because they get emotional. And, you know, they get emotional. And when you get emotional, the thought processes don't always work like they should. All right. I said I was going to talk about the DMV Scam Texas, targeting multiple states. What you must know. Now, if any of you have gotten one, I get them. Whenever I travel north, I would go up to New York. I get them. Your toll hasn't been paid. Please send money immediately, or you'll be arrested at the next toll booth. And, you know, I mean, yeah. Well, one, there's not toll booths anymore, so I don't know where you're going to arrest me, but, you know, if you want, you could find me. You know, I'm the guy going 65 miles an hour in a 70. So I'll be easy to catch. Wife and family scream at me, you drive too slow. Oh, yeah, keep it up. I see a nice center divide bridge pillar right there. I got the urge to go into like a moth to a light. Keep yapping at me. So these scams are saying, you know, send money, you know, click here, call this number, you know. And when you get these scam calls, aren't they great? You know, hello, it's Officer Billy. Really? Billy's your name? Yeah, who do I have the pleasure of speaking to? A Shingler. Shingler Mishlupa. Okay, can you spell that? You know? No, I could hardly say it. You know, and then they hang up, and then I call back, and then, I'll do that for an hour until they block my number. But then I have spoof phone and spoof numbers. Then I could just use random numbers and continue calling them, which I have done, where they have threatened, we will fly to America, we will kill you. And I said, let's stand on the sidewalk behind the other people with axes. They were here first to get me. Wait your turn. So, but what they do is they call, they text people, and people get frightened. Oh, I'm getting a text. Oh, well, hold it. I have an easy pass, and I was just up there. So, just so you know, Easy Pass, the IRS, county officials are not texting you. And even if you get a piece of official looking mail, use your government ID number, your government number that you call. Go pull your taxes out. Call that 800 number, not the 800 number on that letter, but something you got back from them. And be very careful, because these people won't contact you over a phone, and even in a letter. You call up Social Security, all right, good luck with, getting an answer. But I've called Social Security and gotten an answer, even after Doge. So, not too worried about that. So, watch out for scams. Anything that comes over your text, mostly the texts, and they get clever. They get you off guard. You get them, hey, how are you? It's been a long time. What have you been up to? And it's, just a phone number, and you go, oh, did I lose that guy's? Or maybe that person changed their number, and you go, oh, hey, hi, who is this? Oh, this is me. And, now they're in your phone, and you've opened your phone up. Or you go, oh, I don't remember. Yeah, I remember we were at a party and we met and we talked and, I don't know. So, I don't. I don't answer any of those calls. Anyone that needs to get in touch with me, they know how to get in touch with me. Usually it's a brick through my front window, but whatever. The fact of the matter is, you must be vigilant, and mostly with these. And your computer. I mean, how many emails, do you get? How many, it's just amazing. I had a funny story. I was getting emails about a credit card. And, I said, you have that bank. I don't use that bank. So, garbage, boom, garbage, boom, garbage, boom, garbage. And then after about 5 months of this, I get like a registered letter in the mail from that bank saying, hey, we're taking you to court, you haven't paid this. You must call us immediately. And then I'm looking, and I'm like, this is a real letter. And I call the bank, and I go, listen, I do not have an account with you. And I called not that 800, I looked up online, their 800 number, and I go, I don't have an account with you. I don't know what the hell you're talking about, that I owe you this money. And they turned around, and they said, yeah, no, you have an account. You have a credit card with us. And I go, well, then it's fraudulent, because I never opened up one with your bank. And, they then go in, they start looking, and they go, oh, no, we took over XYZ Bank, and we sent you a new card. You haven't used it. You never even activated it yet. But we sent one to you. But you haven't made any payments on, that card. I go, whoa. Now, I go, yeah, I do have a card from that bank. It's in my wallet. And I took it out and go, oh, all right, and they go, no, that's no good anymore. And I went back and forth, and I go, no, okay, you're going to send me a letter with your name on it. You're going to send, because I'm not doing anything over the phone. I have no idea what you're talking about. And they were like, I said, hey, you're dealing with, old people. I go, but, I'm not that old. I might have been born in the dark, but it wasn't last night. So they send me everything, and they go, we took over this bank, and then we took over this credit card. And so I said, oh, I was on automatic payments for that. So I shouldn't owe you anything, because I said always pay it in full. And I said, I really haven't. I said, I just had automated payments on that, once a year or something, would come through. But I said, always just pay it. And they said, yeah, we can't accept that because that was from that bank. So, we sent you letters or we sent you stuff, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know what they were. I see that it's a bank I don't deal with. It goes right in the garbage. It goes right in the shredder. And I said, that's probably what happened with your card. I don't recognize it. And it's gone. So, I said, well, let me go up to your local branch and, give me the card information so I could tell them to apply it towards it. And they said, oh, we can't give you that, but go there. And I said, oh, fine, I'll just go there. And I paid it off. And they were good enough. They took away all the fees. They kind of understood what was going on, and they fixed it so that I didn't have this 6-month delinquent thing. And it took about 6 months for them to correct it all up. But in the meantime, we went to go back on. They sent me a new card, and I went on direct payment. Just take it out. I don't want to balance. End of the month, whatever it is, boom, take the money. Zero balance. Well, somehow that got screwed up, and it never happened. So again, now I'm 3 months behind, and I'm not looking at this stuff. My wife handles everything. I blame her. And I get a letter, and they call. Were you having a problem with this again? And I go, no, I'm on automatic payment. Oh, no, it wouldn't go through. What do you mean it wouldn't go through? We tested it with a penny. It went through or something, you did. And, well, it stopped working. All right, so they corrected it again. And then we had the same type of problem. Then they finally said, we're canceling your card. And I said, yeah, please do. I said, I notified anyone that's using that card, take it to my other card. I go, I just can't deal with you people anymore. But I mean, that was a case where, they were sending me stuff and it was real, and I was just disregarding it and going, I'm not listening to you. I think they even called me up. I go, it's a scam. I don't have it. Bye. Click. So, I mean, they must have to deal with old people all the time. They must hate old people. They must hate the boomers. Hate boomer. But that's what's going on in the news, folks. And we are soon to have, in the next 3 weeks, a call-in show on Sundays from 7 p.m. till I want to do till from 7 till 10. And my wife is screaming, "That's 3 hours. It's too long." I go, I could talk for hours. As long as I could hear myself. I love hearing myself. I'm such a great audience. Even you too, Bob, in New York. I know you're watching. Because when I get your text messages, I know. So with that, I'm going to say good night. I'm going to put the show up here in a couple of minutes. Say a prayer. Prayer works. If you can donate to a charity, please do. Not to toot my horn, because it wasn't my horn to toot, but we were at a fundraiser yesterday that had a 50-50 raffle. And the person that does this show with me every once in a while, Alice Incognito, won it. And the person who was next to us in this place was like, "Oh, that's great. You think she'll give $100, to the charity type of thing, because there was a lot of, like $600 she won." And I looked at this person, I said, "She's going to give them everything." And they were like, "Well, what? No way." I said, "Yep, you wait and see." And she went up there and thanked them and said, "Here you go." And her feeling was like my feelings. $600 is not going to change my life. But $600 worth of food might change someone else's life. Think about that. You think about that. So, give to a charity. Make sure it's a registered charity. Don't become a victim helping victims. Go to that charity. Don't let them come to you, because you always question when someone comes, hand in hand to you. Go to a charity at your church or something. Give to a food bank. Meals on Wheels. Buy 4 extra cans of pork and beans, of sardines, SpaghettiOs with meatballs, and give them to a local food bank. Imagine if 500 people that weren't doing that before were giving 4 cans a week. 2,000 cans. And you're helping people in your neighborhood. Whatever their circumstances are, let's not judge. These are people that are in trouble. So, with that, I'm going to say goodnight. Danielle, Paul, Chris, Rowan, Cannoli, Joey, Samantha, good night. We'll be in touch. And with that, I will fade to black.